Meet the legendary 𝑗𝒿, the demon shadow king who once struck terror into the entire martial world. This absolute monster was finally ambushed by a massive alliance of the great Orthodox sect's top masters. They didn't hunt him for crimes, but because they were terrified of his overwhelming and godlike power. For 7 days and nights, hundreds of elites fell beneath the Demon King's devastating blood-stained axe. Finally, the sword saint of Mount Hua struck, ruthlessly severing 𝑗𝒿's meridians with a lethal blade. Defeated and crippled in an instant, the once feared monarch was dragged to a cold prison on Mount Hua. Daily, the sect leader preached Taoist scriptures, urging the broken king to repent and abandon his hatred. But the Demon King never forgot the injustice. In the shadows, he secretly honed his shattered body. Waiting for the day of reckoning, decades passed until the legendary killer became a withered, white-haired elder. One day, a young boy stumbled upon his cell. The Demon King froze. Had the world truly forgotten him? His old enemies were long dead. With no one left to kill, his thirst for revenge felt hollow. Lying on the cold floor, the sect leader's ancient words of wisdom finally began to echo within him. To find peace, one must first forgive. In that moment of clarity, the Demon King achieved ultimate enlightenment. Demonic energy exploded. His white hair turned pitch black as his body underwent a miraculous, divine rebirth. Hatred vanished as his soul became still as water. The next morning, the boy returned to the peak. "Are you hungry, Grandpa?" "Sorry I'm late," the boy chirped, unaware he faced a living, breathing legend. Touched by the child's pure heart, 𝑗𝒿 finally spoke. "Tell me, boy, what is your name?" "I'm 𝑗𝒿." The old killer stared, moved by a smile he hadn't seen in a lifetime of war. As the boy recited useless scriptures, the Demon King frowned. These monks were teaching the kid garbage. "Stop memorizing nonsense," 𝑗𝒿 barked. "Only learn what your heart can actually understand and master. Like choosing shoes, only the right fit will carry you across the vast mountains of this life." Awestruck, 𝑗𝒿 begged, "Please teach me, Grandpa. I'm too slow for the sect's complicated lessons." The Demon King hesitated. Why should he train a disciple of the very sect that imprisoned him? But the boy knelt firmly. "I know you're a hidden immortal training for ascension. Please, great master." Seeing the boy's unwavering resolve, the old monster's cold heart finally began to melt into pity. He agreed. The irony was thick. The great Demon King was now mentoring a young Mount Hua sprout. Despite his progress, a shadow of sadness haunted 𝑗𝒿's young face during their secret training sessions. Every other kid had a master and a title, while 𝑗𝒿 remained a nameless, forgotten outcast. Should I teach him my forbidden arts? If those old geezers find out, they'll execute him immediately. He couldn't let 𝑗𝒿 suffer his fate. He buried his lethal techniques to protect the boy's future. "Jewels aren't found on every street," he comforted. "True treasures are always hidden from common eyes. The fewer people who see your talent, the more priceless and unique you truly are, my boy. A blade needs a grindstone. A mountain needs the earth." These words ignited a fire in 𝑗𝒿. 𝑗𝒿 worshipped him as a god, unaware the old man was just reciting stuff he'd overheard. "If I were truly enlightened, I wouldn't be in chains," 𝑗𝒿 thought as 𝑗𝒿's eyes sparkled. To the boy, this prisoner was a peerless master. Under his secret guidance, 𝑗𝒿's talent thrived. But one day, 𝑗𝒿 arrived with heavy news. "Master, I won't be able to bring food anymore." An elder from the southern pavilion had finally recognized the boy's latent, explosive potential for growth. "Why stay with a prisoner?" 𝑗𝒿 asked. "Because I can't leave you alone," 𝑗𝒿 sobbed. Faced with such pure loyalty, the Demon King imparted his final, most crucial lessons for the world. "You must outwork everyone." "Yes, master." "Sleep less, train more." "Yes, master." The kid was too obedient. "Show some spirit," 𝑗𝒿 laughed, before turning serious. He didn't want the boy repeating his mistakes. "Stay humble. A deep lake attracts many fish. A vast forest draws all the birds to it. True greatness speaks for itself." He sighed, regretting the arrogance that had led to his own downfall. Those who chase only the beast lose the forest. Arrogance had chained him. He wouldn't let it destroy 𝑗𝒿. Blinded by tears and truth, 𝑗𝒿 fell to his knees, vowing to engrave every word of his master's wisdom. The Ghost King's heart grew heavy. He knew only the Southern Temple could unlock the boy's true, dormant potential. Suddenly, a monstrous storm clawed at the heavens, drowning the world in a symphony of thunder and jagged lightning. "Run, 𝑗𝒿, now," the master roared. This wasn't a natural storm, it was a herald of impending, mountain-shaking doom. As 𝑗𝒿 vanished into the rain, water began to breach the cave walls where the legend remained shackled. Of all the luck. The Ghost King cursed, fruitlessly trying to stem the tide with his bare, legendary hands. The cracks surged into a violent torrent. Drenched and desperate, the old warrior stood amidst the rising, cold flood. Trapped within the mountain's womb, escape seemed impossible until a divine bolt of lightning struck the very summit. From the smoking ruins of his prison, the Ghost King crawled forth, reborn under the light of the moon. "Since the heavens failed to kill me, I'll live a little longer," he smirked, craving his first real feast. He considered finding Jinmu, but feared the boy's grief if he saw his master branded a common criminal. 50 years vanished like a dream. The weak boy of the past had transformed into a legend shaking the world. Jinmu was now the supreme sect leader of Mount Hua, a master whose power commanded absolute, global respect. While meditating, a disciple burst in a fire had erupted on the forbidden moon-seeking peak, his master's ancient prison. Despite its isolation, the peak remained sacred Mount Hua territory. Who would dare ignite such a flame there today? Driven by an old ghost of a memory, Jinmu surged toward the mountain, his heart racing with anticipation. From the gates, he saw the smoke rising from the exact spot where his master had been unjustly entombed. Decades of suppressed memories flooded his mind as he unleashed his cultivation, soaring through the mountain air like lightning. Using the legendary eternal crane flight, the immortal Taoist moved with a grace that defied the laws of heaven. Reaching the summit, his blood ran cold. Under an ancient tree sat a silhouette he had never truly forgotten. There was no doubt, it was his master. The legend had returned from the shadows of a lost era. Despite the passing of half a century, the Ghost King looked unchanged, his presence as overwhelming as ever before. "Is that you, Jinmu?" the master asked. Overwhelmed, the great sect leader collapsed to his knees in tears. The nightmare of that storm flashed back the day he thought the mountain had claimed his master's life forever. He had tried to fight through the debris, but the Southern Temple's elders had forcibly dragged him away then. He had begged through his tears, but they refused to let him perish in the ruins of that cursed peak. Haunted by guilt, Jinmu had spent every waking moment training, fueled by the memory of his lost mentor. When he finally achieved mastery and returned to Mount Hua, he found only a cold, empty stone grave. His first act as a master was to climb this peak, searching for a ghost that wasn't there anymore. He had offered incense for 50 years, praying for his master's soul to find peace in the afterlife below. But the impossible had happened. The Ghost King stood before him, a living testament to his own enduring strength. The master stepped forward, patting his disciple's shoulder. "Stand tall. A man of your status shouldn't cry like this." Their emotional reunion was suddenly interrupted by a group of Mount Hua disciples, stunned by the bizarre sight. Their dignified sect leader was weeping at the feet of a stranger. The scene felt entirely wrong and confusing. Jinmu rose, wiping his eyes with renewed authority. "Show your respect. This man is our sect's greatest legend." "What? A great master?" the disciples whispered, confused by the man's youthful and somewhat suspicious appearance. They had never seen him before, and he didn't look old enough to be their leader's supreme, ancient teacher. "He is the one who awakened my true power," Jinmu declared, his voice echoing with absolute, iron conviction. The Ghost King panicked internally. If they knew his true identity, they would draw their swords in an instant. "He was my mentor when I was but a child," Jinmu added, realizing he never knew his name. Feeling the weight of their suspicious gazes, the Ghost King knew he had to hide his dark, blood-stained past. He couldn't reveal he was the monster imprisoned for decades, or Jinmu's reputation would be utterly destroyed. If he spoke the truth, these disciples would strike him down without hesitation for the sake of their sect. As the tension reached a breaking point, he realized he needed a new identity to survive this new world. "Very well," he spoke, his voice cutting through the silence. "You may call me by the name, Han." The crowd froze in absolute shock. That name. Wasn't it the legendary Mount Hua sword saint? In his panicked haste, the ghost-killing king accidentally blurted it out. The disciples' eyes widened in awe. "Are you the sword saint Han Ho?" The Ghost King froze, hands raised to explain the slip-up. But before he could even utter a single word of denial, the entire crowd dropped to their knees. "We greet the great sword saint. A living legend has finally returned to us." This was their sect's greatest honor. The old man stood speechless. One tiny slip, and now they truly believed this lie? Desperate, he turned to his disciple for help. But to his horror, even Jinmu was looking at him with worship. He announced him as the Grand Elder. Now, even if the Ghost King told the truth, nobody would ever believe him. The misunderstanding was set in stone. The next morning, a new era dawned upon the prestigious Mount Hua sect. Not only did they have a powerful leader, but now a legendary monster who had survived for over a century. The disciples swarmed the front courtyard to welcome their new Grand Elder. Every single one of them looked like a crazed fan. Glory to the Grand Elder, their voices thundered. The Ghost King asked Momin, his eardrums vibrating from their deafening, idol-worshipping screams. They couldn't believe the Sword Saint was back. To them, he was the greatest hero in the history of Mount Hua. One wrong word had led to this disaster. He seriously considered making a run for it before they started asking questions. His demonic arts were the polar opposite of their Taoist energy. Talk about rotten luck. Then Jinmu approached him. Master, please say something to them. These disciples have worshipped you as their ultimate idol for their entire lives. But I have nothing to say. Jinmu smiled. Just like the wise advice you gave me as a child, Master. Advice? That was just random nonsense he'd overheard. Despite the Ghost King's protests, Jinmu wouldn't take no for an answer. He bowed low, begging for enlightenment for his students. Fine. The Ghost King stepped forward to deliver his divine wisdom. Move forward, and may your lives be full of joy. The disciples gasped. Such few words, yet such profound meaning. Truly a master of wisdom, they cheered. The Ghost King sighed. He was just making stuff up, yet they were hysterical. Even his own disciple was showering him with praise. Jinmu used to be so sharp. Why did he get so gullible with age? It was baffling. After the grand meeting with the sect members, the Grand Elder finally cornered his troublesome disciple. The Ghost King was fuming with rage. What on earth do you want from me? He hissed at Jinmu. Jinmu bowed deeply. Please, Master, teach the disciples of our sect. Teach them? He knew nothing of their martial arts. Teach them with what? Pure imagination? No, the Ghost King snapped. Absolutely not. I'm not doing it. Forget it. Seeing that pleading failed, Jinmu switched to shameless flattery. Master, you were the light that guided my dark future. You gave me hope in my darkest hours. You helped me overcome every trial. I only wish for our children to learn from you as I did, to live their lives to the fullest, without any lingering regrets. These heartfelt words actually touched the Ghost King's soul. Seizing the moment, Jinmu shook his hand and sealed the deal. Soon after, the Ghost King headed to the sect's library. Along the way, every disciple bowed with the deepest reverence. They had no idea this saint was actually their sworn enemy, a man imprisoned by their ancestors for a century. He entered the library searching for something specific. He'd only agreed to teach them to buy himself some time. After being tricked by his disciple, he needed to prepare. He claimed he had to organize his centuries of vast knowledge. It was the perfect excuse to stall. Jinmu looked at him eagerly. How much time do you need, Master? A few months at least, he replied. After scouring the shelves, he finally found what he was looking for. The secret manuals of Mount Hua, internal arts, the 5 elements demon-slaying array, and the half-immortal invisible armor. There were countless techniques, swordsmanship, and fist arts that seemed to go on forever. Dozens of high-level manuals. He was doomed. He never expected there to be so many. Teaching all of this would be an absolute nightmare. To make matters worse, the authors had included poems at the end of every page. Why do autumn leaves fall? To become nutrients for the tree, returning to Mother Earth. Damn it. If you like poetry, write a poem book. Why put this garbage in a martial arts manual? He finally started practicing the basic internal arts of Mount Hua. He attempted the 18 arts, but within moments, he coughed up 3 liters of blood. His internal organs were screaming. His demonic energy was violently clashing with the pure Taoist arts. Outside, Jinmu waited through the night. It's so late, yet he is still working for the future of Mount Hua. Truly, he is the light of our sect. The sun rose over Mount Hua the next morning. After a grueling night of research, the truth was finally coming to light. The Blood King's face was deathly pale. Balancing the pure Mount Hua arts with his dark energy was soul-draining. Only his supreme demonic power kept him from death's door last night. Suddenly, a sharp knock echoed through his chamber. Elder, are you awake? He groaned. To think the feared Blood King was now playing the role of a saint. It felt surreal. At the training grounds, he found himself surrounded by a swarm of energetic and noisy little brats. Seeing the great elder, the children rushed over, bowing deeply. They prayed for his life to overflow with joy. They actually used his own nonsense greeting. Happiness, he thought? I just made that up to make them leave. May you achieve eternal ascension, one shouted. This brat, is he mocking me? That basically means wishing for my death. He strictly forbade such greetings. One confused child asked, Isn't immortality the ultimate goal of every great martial artist? The Blood King snapped. Listen, kids should act like kids. You haven't even walked the thorny path of life yet. True growth requires hardship. Life is only sweet when you live for the moment, not some distant, foggy dream. When I was your age, I practiced and read books all day. He lied with a stoic and dignified face. The children gazed at him with shimmering, respectful eyes. Little did they know, their saintly elder was once a menace. Gambling, drinking, and peeping, he had done it all. Then, a curious boy asked about the legendary Demon King. The main character panicked. A century ago? I was sealed in chains back then. I didn't do a damn thing. The Great Blood King, the kids shouted. He realized they were talking about his past self. This was getting awkward. I heard you defeated that monster with just your pinky, one yelled. They called him a vile and cursed villain. He was a thief who bullied the elderly, another added. The insults got worse, painting him as the ultimate scumbag. Hearing them roast his own reputation was agonizing. Those senile Mount Hua elders had clearly brainwashed these poor children. To keep his cover, he had to agree. Yes, I was the one who took that monster's head myself. Hooray, the great elder is number one. Truly the greatest sword saint in all of Mount Hua's history. He wanted to slap himself. This fame felt like a curse. Not just the kids, but senior disciples worshipped him too. He singled out a disciple to get some intel. Tell me, what is the current state of the martial world? The disciple stumbled. I don't know where to start. Start with the strongest, the main character barked. Give me the rankings, from the absolute peak down to the sect leaders. He needed to know his future enemies. After the briefing, he finally understood. Meanwhile, at a lavish estate known as the Heavenly Dragon Manor, Manager Seo approached his young lady. Mistress, strange rumors are drifting from the cold peaks of Mount Hua. The legendary sword saint still lives. He is a relic from the last century, over 160 years old. The lady in white, San Hong, looked intrigued. And what of Mount Hua? How far has that sect fallen? They were once among the Great Six, but they failed to produce talent. They've become irrelevant in the Murim. Their current leader, Jin Mu, isn't even ranked. He's a ghost who rarely shows his face to the world. Lady San Hong, the future of the Dragon Manor, scoffed. To her, Mount Hua was nothing but a fading shadow. A single person cannot change fate, she mused. Even if a withered flower blooms once more, it's still dead. The Garden of the Murim has no place for it. That sword saint belongs to a dead era, not ours. Up on the mountain, the main character realized the truth. The Great War had left the entire Murim fractured. The martial alliance was in ruins, and the heavenly demon cult had split into many pathetic, squabbling factions. Is Mount Hua allied with the Northern Blade? He asked. The disciples shook their heads. No, Great Elder. The Southern Corps? Still nothing. Their leader claimed that power struggles only tainted their sacred, quiet Taoist peace. The truth was bitter. Mount Hua was sinking into obscurity. That night, the Blood King sat alone in thought. Watching the moon, he sighed. To think a pillar of the six sects could crumble like this. Murim is cruel. Damn you, sword saint, he cursed. You locked me up for a century and left me this heap of garbage. The sword saint never imagined his prisoner would be the one forced to save his dying, pathetic sect. What irony. Days later, Jin Mu's health plummeted. He weakly called for his junior brother, desperate for news of the sect. Rest easy, sect leader. Everything is fine. Ever since you fell ill, the Great Elder has taken full charge. For 5 days, he has summoned everyone to showcase their martial arts. He is testing every single disciple personally. He even ordered the head disciple to gather the inner and outer members. A storm is brewing at Mount Hua. Disciples gather from across the land. The Elder plots something big. The Ghost King scours the library for the Sword Saint's secrets. Time is fading. He must choose a path to ultimate power. These manuals are trash. Just endless, preachy lectures on morality. A patient heart? Pure nonsense. He throws the book in rage. Seeking clarity, the legendary assassin steps into the quiet night. He finds the third-gen disciples practicing their weak, pathetic forms. Their 7-star formation lacks soul. No killing intent at all. Switching to defense? Mercy to enemies is suicide in battle. No wonder Mount Hua fell. The weak have no place here. Where is the martyr's spirit? The past is truly dead. Sword Saint Han Ho, look at this. Your sect is rotting. I'll use your name to rise. I will dominate this world. He descends the mountain, his mind heavy with dark thoughts. A strange sound echoes. A youth is training in the shadows. No rank, no emblem. Just a low-level disciple struggling alone. The shadowless fist. Power ripples through the cold, thin air. Not bad for a brat, but his footwork is completely broken. He falls. How can he learn such techniques with that posture? The Ghost King can't stay silent. Stop this foolishness, boy. The youth freezes in terror. It's the Great Elder himself. Why use your left hand for a right-handed strike, kid? But Elder, this is your own supreme wandering fist style. A close call. I almost exposed my true identity there. This brat wants to merge the wandering and shadowless styles. One is flashy brilliance, the other is cold, efficient death. Focus on one. You aren't a legendary genius yet, brat. Are you a sword saint? Pick one path and master it. The boy is stubborn. He refuses to give up either style. Their footwork clashes, you're just tripping over your own feet. An epiphany. The boy finally realizes his fatal, fundamental flaw. I told you to quit, not fix it. You're annoying me. Suddenly, the Ghost King freezes. A new realization strikes him. Fine. Keep practicing. The boy is left utterly confused now. What is your name? I am 𝒂'𝒔, Great Elder. I won't forget you. The boy trembles under his gaze. That afternoon, the master returns to teach the young brats. He draws mysterious patterns in the dirt with a branch. Even 𝒂'𝒔 is there, watching with intense curiosity. Call me senior brother. Titles don't mean anything to me. A majestic phoenix appears, etched into the very earth itself. Watch closely. This is where true martial dominance begins. He blurs through the pattern with divine, ghostly speed. Is that the 7-star step? The boy gasps in awe. Asterisk bonk. Asterisk. Who said anything about 7-star steps, you idiot? Meet the 64 strike art. A technique unknown to Mount Hua, hidden even from the ghost-killing king. After scouring 10,000 ancient scrolls, he finally unearthed it. This is the legendary flowing fist, a lost martial art that gathers explosive internal power through movement. Long forgotten for its simple appearance. Why choose this basic style over our elite techniques? The confused disciples questioned the great elder. Advanced arts require a solid foundation. These children need a style that grows with their youthful spirit. A century ago, 5 legends ruled the world. Among them were the heavenly demon and sword ghost. 𝒂'𝒔 wondered about the final master. The great elder smirked, hiding his own legendary identity. It was him, obviously. The sword ghost mastered the 12 heavens, becoming a peerless god of war. The heavenly demon rose with his divine art, ruling the demonic path. Both seemed worlds apart. Yet, they shared one secret foundation. Both legends began their path by mastering the flowing fist. The world's strongest didn't start with ultimate techniques. They perfected these basic movements first. Every internal energy art follows its own laws, but the root of the flowing fist is universal. It tempers the body inside and out, simultaneously, creating a perfect vessel for any warrior's soul. Unlike styles that force a choice between light or dark, the flowing fist remains perfectly neutral. The 64-strike art is its peak. One cycle requires 8 breaths to reach total completion. Using the 8 trigrams as its base, it contains 64 variations, moving like a dancing phoenix. Every step shifts the rhythm of the soul, 64 breaths perfectly synchronized with 64 deadly steps. Magnificent, isn't it? I nearly lost my mind creating this masterpiece. The king laughed wildly. He then marched toward the 3rd-generation disciples. Who's the brat in charge of this place? He roared. It was young Jang Soho. Despite his age, a sharp sword intent already radiated from him. A true hidden gem. Come here, boy. Soho obeyed, sensing the elder's overwhelming divine presence. They whispered in the corner as the other disciples watched, trembling with intense, nervous curiosity. Do you understand, Soho? I do, great elder. The boy's eyes burned with newfound power. From now on, he will teach you a new sword style. The crowd gasped in total shock. I've taught him everything. If you doubt me, test his strength yourselves, the king challenged them. He gripped Soho's shoulder. Remember, boy, unleash your absolute crushing force from the very first move. Gusan stepped forward, refusing to believe a child could become a master in minutes. Meanwhile, at the 2nd-generation training grounds, the air turned frantic. Hurry up, the training is starting. The first disciple, Jiang Zhou, stood stunned. The training halls were empty as everyone rushed away. Rumors spread like wildfire. The great elder was personally bestowing a secret art at the pavilion. Even First Elder Sun Go was shaken. The great elder is teaching personally? This is a miracle. This is a once-in-a-thousand-year chance. Move, before we lose our spot to witness history. Back at the duel, the clash began. Soho's swordplay had evolved into something truly terrifying. With just a few pointers, the boy was now trading blows equally with his elite senior. The watching elders were speechless. He opened with the devastating Manhwa sword technique, then transitioned into the star moon flickers, followed by the haunting ghost stream. Absolute martial perfection. The flow was seamless, yet Gusan's years of combat experience kept him from falling instantly. Soho recalled the king's cryptic wisdom. If lost, keep circling. The path will reveal itself. Fine, I'll trust the old man's madness. So Ho committed to the erratic, circling footwork. He kicked a stone with lethal precision, forcing Gu-san to slice it in half mid-air. They collided in a blur of steel. As the battle raged, So Ho's speed only grew faster. Impossible! How can a mere child match a master's speed? The crowd watched in stunned silence. The ghost-killing king grinned. Better than expected. I found a truly priceless, legendary treasure. The duel reached its boiling point. Desperate and humiliated, Gu-san prepared to unleash forbidden chi. I forbade internal energy, the king roared. The air froze as pure terror gripped the disciples. A first-gen using internal force on a junior? So Ho's blade chips under the pressure. Yet, his gaze remains cold. In a flash, So Ho hurls his blade at Gu-san. Gu-san barely evades the strike, but the follow-up leaves him paralyzed with shock. Like magic, the sword flies back. So Ho's hand exerts a terrifying suction force. Is this the legendary great suction art? The onlookers can't believe their eyes. Both warriors lunge for the kill, but a single hand catches both blades instantly. The match ends here. You've shown more growth today than in years of solitude. This disciple shall never forget your grace. Gu-san kneels, begging for punishment. No punishment today. The elders finally see the truth about talent and technique. With the right art, even a junior can stand toe-to-toe with an elite. Simple moves, yet divine intent. This is the true power of the great elder. These basic forms now clash equally with first-generation disciples like Gu-san. Simple movements, yet carrying profound, hidden lethality. That is the great elder's legacy for you. To honor him, the sect dubbed it the Sword Saint Arts. Hearing this, the old man fumed. I created this masterpiece, so why mention some random sword saint? Of all the epic names, they chose that? You dead old man. Are you stealing my credit from the grave? I should have just named it the God-slaying method and been done with it. Amidst his annoyance, Pai-ung approached with a suspicious grin. Great elder, shut it, you little brat. I want nothing to do with you. Don't be so cold, elder. I truly need your legendary guidance. Please grant this disciple a god-tier technique. Didn't you forge an unrivaled art through sleepless nights of research? I want to fuse the wandering fist with the shadowless fist. The ghost-killing king immediately turned away. Not happening. Seeing his plea fail, the youth shamelessly clung to the old man's legs like a leech. I won't let go until you teach me. Finally, the ghost-killing king raised a fist. Let go or die. Only then did he retreat. But Pai-ung wasn't finished. If you teach me, I'll give it a legendary name. Prepare to be amazed. It shall be called the Hanho Peerless Boxing. Isn't that a top-tier title? It honors your greatness perfectly. Ha ha ha. Why the silence, great elder? Speechless from the honor? You must be deeply moved. The ghost-killing king sighed. I knew you were trouble from the very start. The boy remained oblivious to the mounting killing intent. You truly recognize my worth, elder. But before finishing, the old man lunged with a terrifying aura. Soon, a blood-curdling scream echoed across the entire Mount Hua peak. Ever since he became great elder, the sect's discipline soared. Every disciple began training with life-or-death intensity. Even the youngest children pushed themselves. However, the first-generation disciples felt neglected and bitter. The elder only focused on the juniors. Were they deemed too old for his divine secrets? But today, for the first time, the ghost-killing king summoned the seniors. Their excitement was palpable as they gathered. Is this all of you? To think a great sect has only 12 Plum Blossom sword masters. How utterly pathetic. Your numbers are insufficient for the Plum Blossom array. Its lethal aura is absolute destruction. The elder remembers that terror all too well. He orders the elite to hand over their duties. Martial mastery is now your only path. You must all depart for the brutal No-Wind Valley. Prepare for hellish training. Remember, the more you suffer now, the easier you will kill later. Overcome these hardships, and the chaos of real battle will feel like a mere walk in the park. Train until you can laugh in a tiger's face. The disciples swear to reclaim their lost glory. A brief peace returns to the sect. Meanwhile, a silver-haired elder fishes at the West Lake. Meet Hong Yibu of Hangzhou. He represents a branch line long forgotten by the main sect. Thunderous news arrives. The Sword Saint is alive. Every branch family is shaken to the core. The sect leader issues a grand summons. All Mount Hua descendants must return to the peak. Yibu prepares to return, but his son refuses. The scars of their family's humiliation remain deep. To reach the peak of Mount Hua, Hongyu commanded his son, "Go there in my stead. Suppress your rage, finish the task, and return. They call you the Bloody Leopard. But listen, at Mount Hua, you're just Hong Hua. The heir of 𝒂'𝒂'𝒔. Many others will be there. Make allies, show your worth. Do not fail me. But the young man's eyes burned with silent rebellion. Days later, the outer disciples assembled. The Ghostblade King appeared as Great Elder. Thank you for the long journey. I summoned you for a grave matter. They wondered, is the Sword Saint returning to conquer the world? Then he spoke. My goal is simple. Cash. If you have gold, donate to this empty sect. This is why I called you back. The entire hall fell dead silent. Give what your conscience dictates. That's enough. The crowd erupted in absolute fury. You brought us here for this? Even the elders feared he'd gone too far. You roam the world using Mount Hua's techniques. Paying back is only natural. I'm not a beggar. I'm reclaiming what's ours. The crowd shouted in pure outrage. This sect is a ruin. Just let it die. But the king remained unmoved. If you won't pay, fine. But return everything you took from Mount Hua first. Once you leave, we are nothing to each other. Fear finally began to spread. He wants to cripple us? To erase our life's work and make us commoners? Be grateful, I'm not destroying your Dantian. I said you could leave intact. Suddenly, a man stepped forward. It was the infamous Heavenly Thunderbolt. Mount Hua has fallen so low. Begging from the outer branches? We're leaving. Follow me, brothers. Did I say you were allowed to walk away? Thunderbolt was suddenly launched into the sky. His screams echoed across the grounds. When he hit the floor, his cultivation was gone. Leave what you stole, now. The crowd froze in terror. A master crippled in a single heartbeat. Rule 17. A disciple never forgets the grace of the sect that taught them. Your duty is to support the main branch. Do you know our reality? We spend all day foraging herbs just to survive. We have nothing left. We meditate on empty stomachs while you feast. Why do you think we exist? The branch exists to support us. Food, clothes, the basic necessities of life. You got rich using our legacy. Yet you won't give back a single coin? You shameless bastards! You should be drowning in your own guilt. The inner disciples watched, thrilled to see these traitors finally get their due. You there, white-haired brat, bring me a brush and paper right now. Write down every name and every coin. Yes, elder, right away. Hand over the money and you're free. We close the gates at 5 p.m. Stay after that, and you'll sleep with the worms. Elder, please take mine. Move aside, I'm paying first. Meanwhile, in the shadows of the south, the Southern Blade Corps was watching. The strategist and the general sat plotting. They hungered for Mount Hua's territory. But this new great elder changed everything. That old monster is a century-old legend. Brute force won't work against him. They needed a scheme. The strategist smiled, a dark plan forming in his mind. We'll spark a war between the sects. Let them tear each other apart first. Then we'll strike the winner. Back at Mount Hua, the line was long. But two brothers from Cherry Blossom Manor were planning a deadly scam. These fools think they can hand over worthless checks to Mount Hua and escape. But our great elder is far too sharp. He demands a hostage for every empty promise. The twin brothers are stunned by his cold logic. They start babbling about their famous estate. They claim wealth in Shaanxi province, but the old man's word is absolute law. One must stay as a prisoner. Don't test his patience, you arrogant little brats. Choose now. The elder brother instantly tries to sacrifice his own sibling to save himself. They start brawling like dogs over who stays behind. Their sibling bond is purely pathetic. Too noisy. The elder decides to keep them both. No one escapes his debt collection. Next up is a man with a scarred face. He looks like a dangerous veteran warrior. This is Hong Hoa Shun from the One Heart Academy. A long-time loyal outer disciple, he presents an envelope containing 200 million silver pieces. A massive fortune indeed. The elders are dazzled by the gold. But the ghost-killing king senses something foul. How can a simple academy afford such riches? He orders the scarred man to stay. No explanation is given. The elder simply didn't like how easily he parted with gold. Before the man can protest, the ghost-killing king calls for the next person in line. Elsewhere, Tian Qiloi finally awakens. His bones are intact, but his pride is shattered. The elder only gave him a light warning. Now, he's furious and seeking a confrontation. He kicks the door open like a fool, but freezes under the elder's murderous gaze. His arrogance vanishes instantly as he bows in terror. Then, a mysterious woman enters. This is So Dung, the proud successor of the eight-sided lotus sect, a true heiress. One look at her eyes tells the elder she is far too conceited for her own good. Before she can finish her introduction, she is ordered to become a hostage as well. She screams in fury, claiming her sect owes nothing. But the elder remains ice-cold. One more word, and he will shatter her cultivation forever. She silences herself in fear. He calls the rest in. It's time to settle all debts in one fell swoop. 6 hostages are now trapped. Among them is a girl trying to act cute. She is the daughter of a wealthy merchant king, hoping to charm her way out. 𝑯𝒖𝒂'𝒔 promises 300 gold bars, but her beauty won't save her here. The elder refuses. She throws a tantrum, refusing to accept her fate as a prisoner. She tries to storm out defiantly, ignoring the ghost-killing king's supreme authority. She doesn't even make it one step before eating dirt. The 6 are led outside. The elder hands a stone to Pai and commands him to throw it hard. Pai pours all his strength into the throw, sending the rock screaming into the sky. Watch closely. The elder leaps hundreds of feet into the air with impossible grace. Before the rock can fall, it's already back in his palm. His speed is godlike. If any of you think you're faster than that rock, feel free to try running. That night, the Mount Hua elders gather. The atmosphere is filled with newfound hope. It's been years since they felt this united. The great elder is reviving their spirit. His leadership has brought back the pride they once lost. He is truly their savior, but he cannot carry this burden alone. Everyone must step up to rebuild their legacy. Mount Hua is changing. The era of humiliation is finally coming to a violent end. Meanwhile, the first-gen disciples continue their brutal training. Pai arrives with a massive feast. There is enough food for an army. The disciples are confused by this sudden luxury. Pai explains the legendary debt collection happening below. The outer disciples are paying up. They realize the great elder is truly unstoppable. Tonight, they feast on their enemy's gold. After their meal, the crew waves goodbye, but the Ghost King suddenly looms behind them like a nightmare. Their hearts stop in terror. Realizing it is the great elder, a wave of pure dread paralyzes them. Memories of his brutal training in the Void Peak haunt their souls like a never-ending psychological trauma. At dawn, the elder masters the 18 arts and the Plum Blossom Sword beneath a thundering waterfall. He mastered the Taoist arts of Mount Hua, pushing his ghost-killing skills to the absolute peak level. That useless brat Han Ho Chi caused this mess. Even in death, he is still a total headache. The elder steps into the lake, revealing a legendary 6-pack physique that defies his ancient age. One hair flip and he is a total heartthrob. He might be old, but he is peak daddy, 160 years old, yet still invincible. This man's longevity is truly beyond human comprehension. Though he mastered Mount Hua techniques, the sword was never his most comfortable weapon of choice. In the past, he shook the heavens with his tyrant axes, carving enemies like ripe summer fruit. After days of intense training, he finally controls the blade with energy, mimicking the legendary sword saint. Suddenly, the flying blade turns. It aims for his life with a murderous mind of its own. His godlike reflexes save him from being skewered. But now, every sword in the lake begins trembling, triggered by a hidden force. Dozens of blades skyrocket from the depths to strike the Demon King. The 13 heavenly swords are reacting to his demon chi. Light and dark clash in violent opposition. To fool those arrogant elders, he must master the righteous arts, even if the swords try to kill him. What a miserable fate for a legend. By noon, the great elder limps back to his secret lair. My lord, what happened? Your face looks like you just lost a brutal fight to a ghost. Who dares ambush me? I simply slipped and fell. The pride of a legend is at stake. His disciple stays silent, doubting every word. Who could actually land a punch on this terrifying monster? Elsewhere, the Cherry Blossom Manor is in chaos as 2 brothers lock in a fierce, deadly duel. The younger brother in red believes his sibling views him as a thorn that must be removed. Jealousy burns deep. The older brother in blue is inferior in both intellect and martial mastery. Remember when I was 10? You framed me for breaking father's precious vase out of pure spite. You lied to father. I was banned for 5 years for a crime I never even committed. I became the clan's outcast because of your envy. My life was ruined by your pathetic lies. It is your fault for being smarter. I am the firstborn, and the succession belongs only to me. I will lead the family. No one will ever take my rightful place as the next clan head. Age means nothing if you are weak. I will seize the throne that you crave so desperately. You need a lesson in reality. Can your pathetic skills even hope to land a blow on me? Fools, do you think Mount Hua is your personal playground to settle your petty family squabbles? The elder slams their heads into the dirt. With one move, they drop like pathetic dead dogs. Meanwhile, Sodung seeks the sect leader to deliver the 8-faced alliance's final ultimatum and wishes. She avoids the elder's fiery temper. One wrong word, and the hot-headed old man would surely explode. She finds the infirmary, but the sect leader is too ill to receive any visitors today. The alliance flourished while Mount Hua withered. It is time to sever these ancient ties forever, so Dung plans a clean break. She wants nothing to do with this declining and weak Orthodox sect. Passing the Serenity Palace, she hears a ruckus. An elder is training two mysterious and powerful disciples. Their power is terrifying, so Dung freezes, realizing these young kids are far from ordinary disciples. How can mere children possess such monstrous sword intent? This isn't the Mount Hua she once knew. What forbidden art is this? The Alliance has gravely underestimated Mount Hua's new hidden fangs. The scarred Hong Hoa soon remembers the elder's warning. Keep the peace and make some allies. But his heart rebels. Why respect a dying sect? He refuses to bow to these weaklings anymore. If that old monster leaves, he believes his forces could easily crush Mount Hua in a heartbeat. As Hong Hua Sun patrolled the Mount Hua grounds, a chilling sound echoed from behind. He expected playful children, but found disciples moving with the precision of elite warriors. These weren't games, they were undergoing the Demon King's legendary, bone-shattering training regime. Their strikes were flawless, absolute speed with zero wasted motion. Hua Sun stood frozen in shock. Eyes wide with disbelief, he grabbed a disciple. What kind of demonic training is this? The great ancestor's secret, the boy chirped. The 16 Supreme Force techniques. Hey, vocal arts? You're actually training? The boy nodded, mentioning the great circulation cycle. After 3 months, we'll master the 8-breath internal flow. Hua Sun's mind reeled in terror. Impossible. He grabbed the boy's wrist, desperately probing his meridians for any trace of qi. Genuine internal energy flowed within. Such raw power in a mere child, it was terrifying. Joy filled Mount Hua. The great elder had secured a fortune, ending their days of starvation. Praise the heavens, the monks cried. Never had they seen such a mountain of gold. The silver-haired youth smirked alone. Greetings, great elder. May you live 10,000 years. Thanks to you, our sect's treasury is finally overflowing with shiny silver coins. Their grand dream was finally within reach, restoring Mount Hua to its former peak glory. New uniforms for all, marble stairs leading to the gates. The elder's plans were extravagant. We'll buy out the local grain. Let the entire world know Mount Hua has returned. While the elder dreamed of absolute supremacy, a girl from the 100 merchants passed by. It was Sun Okay. She tried to slip away, hoping to avoid the elder's sharp gaze. You, stop right there, the elder barked. She froze, cursing her own rotten luck. Why me? She grumbled. He roared. Get over here before I lose my legendary patience. She scurried over, pouting. What does the great elder want with a humble merchant girl? You want freedom? Fine. Make this sect rich, and you can leave this mountain tonight. Increase our wealth, secure our future, and the gates will open for you permanently. Me? Alone? She scoffed. Do you realize how pathetic and poor your sect is? You're wearing rags. You eat grass for dinner. This isn't a sect, it's a ruin. Hundreds of people and not a single coin. How can I fix this hopeless mess? Fine, the elder smirked. Then stay here and rot for the next 50 years. Wait, I'll do it. She blurted. But I have one condition, you greedy old fox. A merchant's daughter to the core. Name your price, the elder challenged with a grin. I need a target. Exactly how much wealth must I generate for my freedom? The Demon King pondered. Double? No. Let's go with 5 times our current hoard. 10 times, he finally declared. She stared. Are you serious? That's pure robbery, old man. He realized she was rich. Asterisk, I should have asked for more. Asterisk, he thought. Feeling cheated. 10 times it is. A special discount for you. To be safe, Sun Okay grabbed paper. She made him sign a binding contract immediately. This girl was a true financial shark. 6 months to decuple their wealth? Easy. Compared to her father's empire, this was nothing. If trade failed, she'd just beg her father. That night, Pi Ung brought the rations. The elder treats you well, Pi Ung. The disciples teased while devouring their meal. Every story you tell revolves around him. You're practically his favorite disciple now. Favorite? Pi Ung cried. He uses me like a slave because I'm too easy. His ears are everywhere. Watch your mouth or we'll all face his legendary wrath. Speak of the devil. The elder appeared suddenly. What are you lot whispering about? They stammered, terrified. Pi Ung gripped his bags, ready to bolt like a panicked rabbit. I'm leaving first, he shouted, vanishing into the shadows. The elder just watched, confused. Whose turn is it to face hell? The great elder barked. The disciples trembled in relief, but their joy was short-lived. The old man decided to drag 2 more into the furnace. Step forward now. Today, I am crushing 3 of you at once. He pointed his finger. The 2 chosen ones collapsed in terror. Their martial brothers only watched with cold indifference. Get up. When the Great Elder calls, brotherhood means nothing. Truly, loyalty dies facing fear. The next morning, the Blood Ghost King resumed his routine, first checking on the sick disciple. Then came the grueling training of the Mount Hua disciples, from the youngest to the veterans. While wandering the peaks later, he spotted Peng practicing. After training, the boy headed to eat. Surprisingly, even high-ranking disciples treated Peng with deep respect. The Blood Ghost King was baffled. He questioned the white-haired elder, but the old man remained tight-lipped about the secret. Seeking answers, he climbed Mount Vofong to interrogate the disciples about Peng's mysterious past. It all started with Peng's master, the infamous Qi, a man now erased from history. Years ago, Qi was banished for an unforgivable sin that shook the foundations of the sect. Qi was a god among men. Even the Hallmasters could not survive 10 seconds against him. In his youth, he meditated alone on the highest peak, seeking a power beyond mortal reach. Legends say he touched the divine, gaining strength that transcended the limits of this world. We still remember his cold silhouette. He was an untouchable ghost, distant and terrifyingly silent. He never spoke a word for years. His eyes held a madness that chilled the soul. That insane gaze is etched into our memories. Elder Qi was truly a monster in human skin. Just the thought makes us shiver. He refused to pass down his legendary arts to anyone. The elders were enraged by his arrogance. They could not let his godlike power die. Desperate, they forced young Peng to become his disciple, hoping to bridge the impossible gap. But Qi ignored the boy completely. He did not offer a single drop of warmth. Pitying the child, other masters took turns, raising him in the shadows of the mountain. Then disaster struck. Obsessed with the plum blossom sword, Qi fell into the demonic path. His obsession turned into a heart demon. His bloodlust became a storm that swallowed the sect. When he unsheathed his blade, killing intent paralyzed all of Mount Hua. The disciples froze. The sect leader and elders were forced into a bloody battle to suppress the mad god. The casualties were catastrophic. Many masters perished, and the Grand Hall was reduced to ash. After his meridians were shattered, Qi regained his senses, his divine power gone forever. Facing execution, he stood in silence, accepting every agonizing punishment without a single word. This was all for Mount Hua, he roared, blood-soaked and broken, before vanishing. Since then, 7-year-old Peng's life became a living hell. He inherited his master's sins. They stripped his rank, branding him a lowly outer disciple for a crime he did not commit. Though innocent, the sect shunned him to protect their reputation. He became a ghost. Living under constant scorn, Peng isolated himself, carrying the weight of the world alone. The Blood Ghost King felt a pang of pity. How could the boy smile through misery? Why should a child pay for a madman's sins? He deserves better than this humiliation. His sword is not yours, the king thought. You will forge your own legendary path. The next day, the arrogant twins knelt before the king, begging for mercy with bruised egos. "We were foolish! We forgot our duty as brothers!" they cried out in desperate synchronization. Their punishment was absolute. Tethered together, they had to share every moment, breath, and burden. Even the most private moments were shared. It was a psychological hell no one could endure. "Do you truly repent?" the Blood Ghost King asked, his eyes cold and judging. They nodded frantically with teary eyes. "If you repent, fine. But perhaps you are only just a fake truce?" These brothers played nice only to escape their grounding. They scrambled to lie, claiming the Great Elder's wisdom finally forged a true brotherly bond. "We'll die for Mount Hua," they barked. The elder smirked at their sudden, desperate loyalty. They cheered internally, convinced the old monster had fallen for their pathetic little trap. "Keep that harmony then," he chuckled, a move that left the two idiots completely stunned. 100-year-old monster isn't easily fooled. The Death King then glided toward the serene palace. "What's the news?" he asked. An urgent invitation from the Northern Blade Union had arrived. This union was forged for one purpose, to crush the tyranny of the Heavenly Dragon Manor. Their sudden interest in Mount Hua was clear. The legendary sword saint, Han Ho, had returned. Seeking an alliance? Mount Hua had been a ghost in the martial world for too long. The arrival of the Heavenly Dragon Sword Lord signaled Mount Hua's grand return to the stage. "Get ready to receive their tributes," the disciples boasted, eager for fame and riches. "Stay back," the elder commanded. Was he planning to face the mighty union all by himself? At the mountain's base, a Northern Blade envoy waited, expecting a warm, respectful welcome. He returned fuming, his face contorted in pure, unadulterated rage at the sect's blatant disrespect. The old man said he's busy. Told us to beat it and come back later. Mount Hua dared? Worse, the elder had literally kicked the envoy's backside all the way down. This was a spit in the face of the Northern Blade Union. Mount Hua was doomed. When the news reached their young master, instead of erupting in fury, he burst into laughter. "It's not funny, my lord. They treated us like common street trash," his men wailed. "That old man," the lord smirked, "is none other than the legendary sword saint himself. It was Han Ho. We go again tomorrow. This time, I'll handle him personally," he declared. The next day, as the scarred youth watched the recruits, the Death King approached with intent. "Move it! Stop dazing off and follow me." He even dragged the girl hiding in shadows. He led them to the gates. Were they finally being granted their long-awaited freedom? "Not a chance," he snorted. "Today, you two are my gatekeepers. Stand your ground." The Northern Blade Union's cavalry thundered up the trail, halting just outside the sacred sect's borders. The envoy returned quickly. "Same answer, my lord." The old man said, "Maybe next time." Such arrogance. The young master's patience finally snapped under the weight of Mount Hua's cold pride. His eyes turned cold. One subordinate, eager to restore honor, charged toward the mountain peak. He vanished using top-tier Lightfoot techniques, but minutes turned to hours with no sign of him. Fed up, the young master led his men straight to the gates of Mount Hua. There lay his elite subordinate, unconscious. What kind of monster had done this so easily? The Death King stepped forward. His followers gasped. They recognized the man standing before them. It was Jang Kang-guk, the legendary sword lord. Suddenly, another uninvited group arrived on the scene. Enter Zhou Zhongjung, a brute from the south, baring his muscular arms with arrogant disdain. "Where's the sword saint? Bring your leader out now," the fool shouted at the Death King. Silence met his threats. "Are you deaf, old man? I'm talking to you," Zhou roared. The Death King's aura shifted. A murderous chill froze the air, making even Zhou tremble. "Did your parents never teach you respect for your elders?" The king's voice was lethal. Zhou was terrified, yet his ego pushed him to draw his blade against the living legend. Draw it, and you're dead. The pressure was suffocating, crushing everyone's will to breathe. He was no longer human, but an ancient, bloodthirsty beast ready to devour the world. The elders rushed out, begging for mercy. "Please, great elder. He's just a foolish boy." Zhou stood frozen, paralyzed by a fear so deep he couldn't even twitch a single finger. The elders welcomed everyone inside, but those arrogant brats were now completely silent and submissive. Not a single soul dared to wander, as the sect offered their hospitality to the shaken outsiders. Even during the feast, a heavy silence reigned. No one spoke, their eyes filled with lingering dread. The great elders' overwhelming pressure had truly left these guests psychologically scarred for life. That night, as disciples prepared the rooms, a young master suddenly collapsed, coughing up fresh blood. The legendary sword saint's power is monstrous. His mere presence inflicted severe internal damage on a master. Even now, Zhou Zhangjung cannot stop his hands from trembling at that terrifying memory. Young master Jang Kang-guk of the Northern Blade sect suffered too, haunted by nightmares of that monster. Waking up, he vomited blood. To think even a genius with his mental fortitude was broken so easily. The sword saint's might is absolute. This concludes today's epic journey, but the legend continues. Smash that like button. See you in the next chapter.